We have 88 participants. So we were talking about the four conditions regarding the deadlocks. One, we call it as mutual exclusion. One, we called it as a mutual exclusion. And after mutual exclusion, then we are going to, call it as hold and wait. Third, we call it as no preemption. And fourth one, we are going to call it as a circular aid. So these are the four necessary conditions which are going to happen, if the deadlock is going to occur. Then we talked about the resource allocation graph. Then we talked about the resource allocation graph. So in this resource allocation graph, we were mentioning one, we are going to call it as a request edge. Another, we are going to call it as an assignment edge. So if it is an assignment edge, it is going to be from resource to a process. If it is from request to edge, then it is going to be from process to a resource. That is also we have depicted. Later on, uh, later on, we have to move to the next one. That is how these elements are going to be made, or how the instances is going to be happened. So when we are going to call here as an instance, we can see that the resource is nothing but a CPU cycle, memory, or input output devices. So P is a process and R is a resource, R1, R2, R3, R4. So these dots, we are going to call them as instances. Dots, we are going to call them as instances. So we can assume here P1 is going to have one instance of R2 and requesting for another instances of R1. Similarly, we can see this P2 is going to
ఎల్లో కలర్ పై నుంచి తీసుకురావచ్చు
one
కదా.
resources of R2 and requesting for one resources of R3. So that is how we are going to make it up the resource allocation graph. So this can be with or without a cycle. So preferably if deadlock is going to happen, then there should not be any type of cycle. Then we are going to say it need not happen for a cycle, that is a deadlock is not going to happen. So if such is a scenario, what we are going to bring it up here. So what are the different ways of handling a deadlock? Was the first way what people are going to propose was we have to see that it has to be prevented or it has to be avoided. Second thing, deadlock has to be detected and deadlock has to be recovery. So only one thing what we can prevent is we do have resource allocation graph, and in this resource allocation graph we have safe state and we are going to have some unsafe state. One we are going to call it as safe state, another we are going to call it as unsafe state. So using safe state and moving towards safe sequence and moving towards safe sequence, we should see that the computer will not be moved at any case in a deadlock. That is one way of preventing the things. Second thing is that should see that the process, or you are going to see that it is going to be preempted, and you should see that deadlock is not going to be occurred. So we need to see that there is recovery happens. Third thing was that ignore the problem. What we can say is just simply restart the mobile phone. If there is a hang up situation, just restart the laptop or a desktop. So that is the final solution. If the system was unable to handle a deadlock, what we can do? We can do a hard boot. That is nothing but just restart the mobile phone, restart the switch off and again turn on the mobile phone or laptop, whatever you call. So ignoring the problem altogether is one of a solution, but it is not optimal in all the cases. That is not going to be optimal all the cases, because the problem has to be solved from the software side, but not from the hardware side. So as a software engineer, you should be in a position to look up the allotment of number of cycles, and thereby how these cycles can be pretended, or in this way we need to move it up. So one, we are going to call it as mutual exclusion. Another, we can say it is hold and wait. Third, we are going to call it as no preemption. And fourth one, we call it as a circular waiting. So to all these, the very first thing, to all these, the very first thing was it is going to be done towards a banker algorithm. And if there are multiple instances, if it is a single instance, yes, it is going to be allocated by a resource graph. Okay, so we have already seen the previous slide, that is resource allocation graph. So resource allocation graph is there, and resource allocation graph, it is going to work for single instance. If there are multiple instances, at that case, the single instance resource allocation will not happen. There at that time, we have to go for the banker's algorithm. There at that time, we have to go with the banker's algorithm. So banker's algorithm, the main objective was, it is going to see that at any point of time, the resource allocation should happen as schedule, that is a safe sequence, and the state should always be safe. The state should always be safe. So here I can say a safe state, a state is safe if the system can allocate all the resources by the process up to their maximum need without entering to the deadlock. So maximum need. So assume that I need some 10 instances of resources. Assume I need 10 instances of resources, but I am going to give it this in 5 instances, but I am going to give you only 5 instances. At that time, we are going to call it as an unsafe state. Not unsafe states are going to be entered into a deadlock. But if I am going to be in a safe state, then I can say no deadlock. But if I am going to be in an unsafe state, it is just a possibility for deadlock. So if we are going to be in an unsafe state, that means there is no deadlock, but there is a chances for deadlock. But if you are going to be in a safe state, then we assume that there is no question of deadlock. So your maximum need of a resource is 10, and the resources is 15, and the resources are only 10. Then it can give you 5 plus 5 plus 5. But at any moment of time, 5 is going to be given to you. Then you are going to be put in a sequence, and it is not with only one process. So PI is there, P2 is there, or P3 is there. All of them want to share the same resource, and that same 10 instances has to be distributed between P1, P2, P3. So which is first, which is next? You need to reorder this sequentiation. So at that case, this may not work. Therefore, we are going to see that the safe sequence has to be allocated, and then only the process is going to be taken up. So you can see this buzzword here. So if a you can see that unsafe state may lead to deadlock. It is not that unsafe state is a deadlock. Unsafe state may lead to a deadlock, and we can say all safe states, whatever we are going to see, their deadlock will never ever occur. But only thing is that unsafe states, they have to be converted to a safe state. And how it is going to be converted means, it is going to be converted with a concept called as safe sequence. So we have to drop the banker's algorithm, generate a safe sequence, so that resources can be allocated properly like that. So that is how a safe sequence is going to be managed. So here we have a scenario. Here we are going to have a scenario that we do have some unsafe state. We are going to have some unsafe state, and thereby we are going to have some safe sequence. So if the deadlock is going to be in a safe sequence, if the process is going to be in a safe sequence, there is no deadlock. There is no deadlock. But if the process was in unsafe state, chances for deadlock. Chances for deadlock, but unsafe state is not a deadlock. Second thing, how it is going to be taken up? It is going to be taken up using safe sequence. It is going to be done with a safe sequence. If there is a single instance of a there, we can solve it by resource allocation graph. If there is a single instance, we can do it with a resource allocation graph. If there is some multiple instance, then we have to go with this bankers. If instances, then obviously we don't have any chance. We have to go with a bankers algorithm. So assume your fees was 2 lakh rupees. So 2 lakh rupees is your fees. You are going to call it as a maximum need. So this is the maximum amount you are going to need. So I am going to visit a bank and I am going to raise a educational loan, and your maximum need is 2 lakh rupees. Now, first installment for first year, they have given you 50,000. Second installment, they are going to give you 50,000. Third installment, 50,000. And fourth installment is also 50,000. So 1, 2, 3, 4, what you are going to call? It is going to be some sequence. So if I am going to give you at a time 2 lakh rupees at a time, then there is no deadlock. Then you are going to be in a safe state. If I am going to give you 50K for first year, 50K for second, 50K for third year, and 50K for fourth year, then you are going to be in unsafe state and there may be a chance for deadlock. When there may be a chance for deadlock, all of a sudden in third year, if you are not going to be given 50,000, obviously you are pushed out back. Therefore, there may be a chance of a. So in third year, you didn't get the installment amount of 50,000 for you. So obviously what is there? Definitely you are moving to a deadlock. If I'm going to give you a 50,000 there, the bank is going to give you a 50,000. Again, you are going to be in an unsafe state. At the end of fourth year, if you can say your requirement is 2 lakhs and 50 plus 50 plus 50 plus 50. So these are going to be pulled up and obviously you are going to get the 2 lakh rupees. Definitely it is more or less equal to be in a safe sequence or a safe state. So here is one of a single instance based example for you, and after this single instance is going to be moved, then we can look into this example here. So now first of all you can see that what is a resource. Resource can be, what is a resource? Resource can be a CPU cycle, resources can be memory, resources can be input devices. Input devices are nothing but hardware. Input devices are nothing but hardware components. The mouse, monitor, printer, scanner, magnetic disk, magnetic tapes, all the elements, they are going to be called it as resources. Assume there are 12 tape drivers with the CPU. There are 12 safe drivers with the CPU. So, and process P0, P1, P2, they need 10, 4 and 9. How many are allotted with the CPU? Only 12. What it is going to do? It is going to distribute 5 for P0. It is going to give 5 for P0, 2 for P1 and 2 for P2. It is going to allocate. So what is still the need? What is still the need? Need here I can say it is equals to maximum minus current allocation. Need is equals to maximum minus allocation. So still P0 wants 5, P1 wants 2, and then P2 wants 2, right? So I'm sorry, P2 wants 7 here. So the P0 wants 10, P1 wants 4, P2 wants 9. But CPU is going to allocate only 5 to 2. So still how much P0, P1, P2 need is there? That means it needs 10 minus 5, 10 minus 5, 4 minus 2, 9 minus 2. Still there is a need. So that is how one after the other the allocation of a going to be placed. So what happens if P2 is going to request and it is granted for one or more tapes? So P2 needs still 2 tapes, but here altogether it is going to be entered into 9, but I'm going to have only one as pending, then it is going to lead into a deadlock. So because the availability was less, still P2 is asking for it. So I'm going to put it in a state called as hold and wait state. So hold and wait state, it is going to be moved into a process called as a deadlock there. So that is the first scenario what we have to taken up. After that, after this scenario is going to be taken up, the next one was we do have some claims, we do have some edges, etc. So first of all, we should understand the distinction between one we are going to call it as requesting edge. Second one we are going to have a claiming edge, and third one we are going to call it as an assigned edge. Okay, so if there is a claim, it is going to be represented into a dotted line. If there is a claim, then it is going to be represented into a dotted line. If it is going to be converted to claim is going to be converted to assignment edge, claim is going to be converted to an assignment edge, then it is going to be a thick line. Then it is going to be represented as a thick line. So got it? So if I am going to put this in a dotted edge, then it is going to be call it as claim edge. If this is going to be in, if this is going to be in a dark line, then we are going to call here one as a assigned edge. So that is the first distinction. Always claim edge is going to be always the claim edge is going to be converted to the requesting edge. Always the claim edge is going to be converted to a request edge. Got it? So I am going to ask for 500 rupees. I am going to ask for 500 rupees, and your 500 is going to be given up. So your 500 rupees is going to be given up. So this one I am going to call it as claim, and this one we are going to call it as request. So that is how we should distinguish between a dotted line and followed by the dotted line and followed by the thick line. So we talked about claiming edge, we talked about claiming edge, we talked about dotted lines, that is requesting edge, etc. After this, we do have one of the most important item in the deadlocks, that is nothing but the Banker's algorithm. So one of the most important thing towards the deadlock is how to solve the system if it is going to be in a deadlock. If it is entered with all the 4 conditions, the first condition will be mutual exclusion, second one was hold and wait, third one was circular waiting, and fourth one was no preemption. If all the 4 are going to happen at a time, then we can say it is Banker's, that is, it is going to be taken up with the deadlock. So now Banker's algorithm, it is going to give you a solution how to break the chain. If all 4 are there, it is deadlock. Let us see that we can see all the 4 conditions will never ever happen. Then we are going to call it as Banker's algorithm. A resource can have multiple instances. It is solved by Banker's algorithm. A resource is going to have a singular instance. Then it is going to be solved by resource allocation graph. And in that resource allocation graph, it sees that it doesn't have a cyclic. It is going to be acyclic, more or less like a tree structure. Then it is solved towards single instance. If it is going to be a multiple instances, if it is going to be with multiple instances, then Banker's algorithm is going to come into the picture. Okay, so when the Banker's algorithm is going to be taken place, the name itself is going to be bank. So in bank, I do have basic operations. One I am going to call it as crediting. Another we are going to call it as debiting. Okay, one we are going to call it as credit operation. Another we are going to call it as debit operation. So I'm going to save 1000 rupees into my saving bank account. So I'm going to get this deposit. I'm going to get this deposit. Then we can say this as deposit, and this one I'm going to call it as a withdrawal. So if I'm going to have balance as 1000 earlier, so this is balance here, and now I'm going to deposit. Now 2000 rupees is going to be my balance. Then I'm going to withdraw. Then I'm going to have a withdraw operation of 1500. So here I'm going to have minus 1500. So plus 500 is only the balance. Here I'm going to say plus. So when I'm going to use a deposit operation, addition operation is going to take place. Then I'm going to make a withdrawal operation, subtraction operation is going to be taken place. So you are aware of these banking transactions. So banker's algorithm will always focus on two items. One we are going to call it as withdrawal, another to call it as a deposit. So deposit is nothing but putting something into a bank. Withdrawal is nothing but drawing the amount from the bank using ATM or physical, etc. Okay. So now let us look into this banking algorithm. So banking algorithm, the main focus was to see that the system is always going to be in safe state. So safe state, it is going to be maintained using some safe sequence. Safe sequence, it is going to consider the unsafe state, and if it is moved from an unsafe state, then it is going to pretend for a deadlock may happen. So we should see that the banker's algorithm, safe state is going to happen and it is going to be drawn with a safe sequence. Otherwise, there may be a chance for a deadlock, which it may be in unsafe sequence, and finally the collapsing procedure, that is the system is going to happen in a hang up state, that is deadlock here. So how these items are going to be moved one after the other, if this is a primary focus here. Now the banker's algorithm is going to have these key data structures. The banker's algorithm is going to have some key data structures. I can say n, int n. So it is an integer variable which it is going to represent process, and m is another variable which is going to represent the resources. That is first data structure you should understand. N, it is going to represent process, m, it is going to represent the resource. Second, so how many number of resources are going to be available for the current operation? So assume there are magnetic tapes. There are magnetic tapes here, and total number of magnetic tapes are 10. So total n. So total number of available, I am going to call here as availability, that is n. So how many tapes I need to execute my program? So execute, my process is P1, execute, my process is P1, and I need 5 instances. My process is P1 and I need 5 instances. So that is 1, 5. This is how we are going to drop the array 1, high multi-dimensional array. So now maximum, my process is 1, my process name is 1, and how many I need? I need 5 instances of it. So maximum I need 5. So that is the target for my program. So my program wants 5 cycles of magnetic tapes. So that is how I am going to put my maximum value. Third one, allocation. So how allocation is going to happen? I am going to have 10 instances. In this 10 instances, 5 they have asked. So 10 is equals to 10 minus 5, and obviously 5 is going to remain. So allocation is going to happen with the same, one with process and another with the resource. So indicates how many number of resources are categorized there. So need is going to be still happened here. So assume that there are 10 instances. My request is going to be for 6 instances. So 10 is equals to 10 minus 4. So 10 is equal to 10 minus 6. Still I am going to have 4. What is 4 here? 4 is going to be mentioned as need. So how I am going to get this need? Need is equals to some maximum value minus allocation value. What is maximum? Maximum is equals to 10. And how much is going to be allocated? 6. How much is going to be allocated? 6. Why they are going to give you 6? Because P1 is asking one request, P2 is asking one request, P3 is asking one request, and all of them are going to be dependent. All of them are going to be dependent on the magnetic tapes which are available only 10. So this 10 has to be distributed. This 10 has to be distributed among all the process. So whatever process are there, all the process has to be distributed, has to be shared. So this 10 magnetic tapes has to be shared, and there should not be any clash, there should not be any ambiguity between P1, P2, P3. How to solve the ambiguity? Solving the ambiguity is going to be happened with safe sequence. P1, P2, P3. You need some ordering. You need some ordering. Which process should use first? Which process should use next? So you need to understand for this Banker's algorithm. So Banker's algorithm, there are, we do have the maximum entities like this. So it is going to give the data structure. It is going to give you the data structure. The first data structure is how many available are there and how much a process needs, how much it is going to be allotted, and still how many number of instances the process you have to give. So how much you have to give means assume need is equals to maximum minus allocation. So your friend is going to have 200 rupees. Your friend is going to have 200 rupees and you have asked her for 50 rupees. Okay, you have asked her for 50 rupees. Got it? So still how much money your friend has to give? So you have asked and your friend is going to give you only 20 rupees. So this is maximum, this is your request, and this it is going to call it as allotment. So your friend is going to have 200 rupees. You have asked her for 50 rupees, but your friend has given you only 20 rupees. Still how much money your friend has to give? That means you are going to call it as need. So need, your allocation is going to be 50 and still you have given 20, still 30 is going to be due for you. So this friend is going to have not only a single friend, they can be multiple friends, P1, P2, P3, and all of them are asking money, and that money is going to be common, that is 200 rupees. That means now 200 has to be distributed to P1, P2, P3, and no clash should happen between them. But still they have to manage. How it is going to be managed? It is going to be managed using the concept called as safe sequence. If all the 50 rupees is going to be given to you, then you are going to be in a mode called as safe state. If only 20 rupees is given, later on 10 rupees is given, later on 5 rupees is given, later on 10 rupees is given to you in installments, then you are going to be in a state called as unsafe state. So that is how you should understand the Banker's algorithm. Got it? So 200 rupees you are asking for a friend, and your friend is going to have 200 rupees and you have asked her for 50 rupees. Your friend has given only 20 rupees. Still she has to give you 30 rupees. So still she has to give you 30 rupees is nothing but the need. How much money did she give to you? Only 20 rupees. How much money did you ask? You asked for 50. Now this friend is having multiple friends. Assume P1, P2, P3. Now all of them are asking 50 rupees to her. So what she has to do? She should see that her rapport should not break, and she has to allot this 200 to all. How she is going to manage? She is going to put you in a sequence called as safe sequence. If she gives all the money to you at a time, you are going to be in a safe state, but partially. So 20 rupees she is going to give you one time, 10 rupees she will give you another time, 5 rupees she will give you another time. In this way, at most she will give you 50, but not at a time. Partially she is going to give. So managing that sequence, P1, P2 first, P2, P3 next. In this way she is managing. That is where operating system also going to do with the support of a Banker's algorithm. So Banker's algorithm, it is going to manage the available resources between multiple processes using these data structures. So after this, we will go dig deep into the original algorithm steps. So this is the original algorithm steps of the Banker's algorithm. So So Banker's algorithm we are going to talk about. So in this Banker's algorithm, we can see that there are basic steps. One, we are going to call it as work. Another, we are going to call it as finish. Work is initialized to the available resource. Finish is going to be initialized to a Boolean variable. Okay, this is going to be a Boolean variable, and this it is going to be an integer variable. So the earlier we are going to call it as available, right? Earlier we are going to call it as available. Now this available, now we are going to replace it with a word called as work. For simplicity, we are replacing the array name of available towards the work. That is first correction we should understand. So how much time this Banker's algorithm should iterate? Is it 10 times? Is it 1 time? Is it 3 times? Means I need to have a flag value. How is that flag value? I am going to have a flag value set either to true, or you are going to set either to a false value. So if it is false, then the iteration has to be repeated. That means need is less than work. If the iteration is going to be true, that means algorithm has completed its execution. Okay. If how can I say terminate the Banker's algorithm? This is the last step of a Banker's algorithm. How can I justify? I can justify if finish is going to be true. That means the allotment, whatever a process has made, it has been in safe state and every resource has been allotted to it. Now the process is same and it has completed execution. If that guarantee has to be taken place, that means it is going to set the Boolean variables finish is equals to true. If finish is equals to false, that means still the job has to be executed and it has to be iterated between second step and the third step. So the loop has to be repeated. How is that loop is going to be repeated? It is going to work with a variable called as work is equals to work plus allotment. Work is equals to work plus allotment. So what is work? Work is nothing but it is called as availability. So availability is equals to availability plus allocation. Availability is nothing but availability plus allocation. So at the end, we will see that the order in which the program has executed sees that the program will never enter into a deadlock. That means it is raising a state, and that sequence we are going to call it as safe state sequence. So that we are going to discuss in the next step. So after this algorithm is going to be moved. We will have the basic steps of the algorithm as follows. We will have the basic steps of the algorithm as follows. So these are the steps to see that whether the system is going to be in a safe state, whether the system is going to be in an unsafe state. So the Banker's algorithm to take place. So the main intention was it has to grant the resource and it has to recapture the resource from it. So while granting, whether it is going to be in safe or not, or whether to deny a request, whether to grant a request has to be taken up. So for that we are going to use this resource request algorithm. So resource request algorithm is going to be part of a Banker's algorithm. So resource request algorithm is going to be part of a Banker's algorithm. So how I'm going to get these elements? First one, I'm going to have a request. Request is going to have the first data structure n. We are going to call it as processes, followed by m. We are going to call it as number of resources. So if the request is going to be greater than the need, obviously raise an error, because I'm going to have 10 resources. I'm going to have some 10 resources, and you are asking me for 15 resources. The resource total is going to be 10, and you are asking me for 15. So definitely rise an error. So if I'm going to have 10 resources, you are asking for 4 resources. That means request is 4, availability request is going to be 4, and so availability is going to be 10 here. So it can be satisfied with these 3 conditions. It can be satisfied with these 3 conditions. One, I'm going to call it as availability is equals to availability minus request. Second one was allocation is equals to allocation plus request. And third, we are going to call it as need is equals to need minus request. So if the request is greater than available to any process, then the process is going to wait for the resource to be available. And if still the process has been allotted to the request, that means the 4 is going to be available, then it is going to give it to the resource. So how it is going to grant or how it is going to deny means it is going to be taken up with one, we are going to call it as available is equals to available minus request, allocation is equals to allocation plus request, and third one need is equals to some need minus request. So 4, I'm going to call it as my request, and available I'm going to call it as 10, and granted we are going to call it as 2 here. So 10 I'm going to call 10 minus 4, and allocation already I'm going to give you the value, it is 2. So 2 plus 2 I am going to give you 4, and still need is there, need is equals to 4 and request is equals to 4. So 4 minus 4 is 0. So earlier we are assuming some 2 resources are going to be given. So now new 2 resources are going to be given. So still there is no need of another resource. So I will just explain you with the algorithm, with the example. So how these 3 steps are going to be managed. So you will have a good clear understanding of how this algorithm is going to work. So this is the core logic of the banker's algorithm. This is the core logic of the banker's algorithm, what we are going to assume. So availability, allocation, and request. So assume A is going to have some, how many number of instances means A, it is going to have availability, that is 3, and already 2, 3, and 2. So A we can assume it is 3 plus 2 plus 3 plus 2. So total it is going to have 10 instances. And B we can assume that is still available is 3. B is allocated to 1 plus 1. So 3 plus 1 plus 1, total 5 instances are available for B. And if I am going to call it as C, it is going to have 2 instances available. So 2 plus 2 plus 1 plus 2. So 2 plus 1 plus 2 plus 2. So total it is going to have 7 instances. So 10, 5, and 7. So assume A is going to have 10 instances. Assume A is going to have 10 instances. B is going to have 5 instances. C is going to have 7 instances. How I am going to derive this expression? How I am going to get this 10? How I am going to get this 10? 3, 2, 3, 2. So 3 plus 2 plus 3 plus 2. Total I am going to get here as 10 instances. Next, how I am going to get this 5 instances? How I am going to get this 5 instances? 3 plus 1 plus 1. So 3 plus 1 plus 1, I am going to get this 5 instances. How I am going to get C as 7? That is 2 I am going to get here, 2 instances, 1 instance, 1 instance, 2 plus 1 plus 2. Total I'm going to get here 7 instances. Got it? So this is the first step. So total number of instances, first we are going to write like this. So A is equals to 10, B is equals to 5, C is equals to 7. Got it? A is equals to 10, B is equals to 5, C is equals to 7. This is step 1. Available resources. M value we are going to initialize. So these are the available resources instances. Got it? Next one. We have to apply the procedure. Availability is equals to availability minus request. Allocation is equals to allocation plus request, and need is equals to need minus request. Now, can you tell me how we are going to get this? Okay, P0 wants 7 instances of A. P0 wants 7 instances of A, 5 instances of B, 3 instances of C. Similarly, P4 wants 4 instances of A, 3 instances of B, 3 instances of C. Got it? This one we are going to call it as request. P0 wants 7 instances of A, 5 instances of B, 3 instances of C. What we want is nothing but called as request. Okay. Similarly, P4 wants 4 instances of A, 3 instances of B, 3 instances of C. So this scenario, what we are going to propose is nothing but the request. Okay. Now CPU, it is going to allocate it 1 0 1 0, 2 0 0, 3 0 2, 2 1 2, and 2 0 0 2. Now what is going to happen at this case? Allocation. Yeah, tell me. So how many instances this CPU given? So P0 is asking 753, but what operating system gave? It asked 7, CPU told 0. It asked 5, CPU gave 1. It asked 3, CPU gave 0. Okay, so 0 1 0 we are going to call here as allocation. Now tell me for P4. P4, it is asking for 4, asking for 3, asking for 3 instances of C. How many did operating system give? Operating system is going to give, it asked 4, okay, take 0. It asked 3, take 0. It asked for 2, okay, take 2. In this way, it is going to allot the resources. Why it is going to do? Because it should see that no deadlock. It should see that no deadlock. How it is going to see? It is going to confirm a safe state. How a safe state is derived? It is derived using safe sequence, and it is taking the support of unsafe state. It is going to take the support of unsafe state. So to prevent deadlock, all the 10, all the 5, all the 7, it is not going to give to P0, it is not going to give to P1, P2, P3, P4. It is going to distribute. It is going to distribute all the resources. It is going to distribute resources between process using safe sequence, so that it will be pushed from unsafe state to the safe state, so that it will be pushed from unsafe state to the safe state. So after this, now let us look into this simple example to understand. Then we will take the holistic, all the 3 steps and it takes some 10 to 8 iterations. Tomorrow, if time is not enough for today, in tomorrow's class we will extend the same bankers algorithm and iterate step by step how every sequence is going to be built. Well, now let us look into the simple example. So you have to memorize these 3 steps. Okay, there is no alternate for you. You have to memorize these simple 3 steps. That is, availability is equals to availability minus request, allocation is equals to allocation plus request, and need is equals to need minus request. So this is the 3 things what we have to memorize definitely for the bankers algorithm. Now see here, a simple example is stated by the author. So what happens if P1 is going to request for few more resources? What is going to happen if P1 is going to ask for few more resources? It is going to ask in this manner. So now we can just scroll up here. So yeah, you can see 332 and P1 was earlier P1 was 200. Okay, make a note of it. Earlier P1 was 200. Just make a note of it so that it is moving to the next slide. So 200 P1 is going to have, and availability was 332 and need was 122. Okay, you memorize the 3 terms, then I will take up. So next one we are going to have in this model. P1 is going to have 302 and need was 020 and availability was 230. Can anyone unmute yourself and tell me how did you get this value before I discuss? So how did you get this value? How did 302 change and how did 2023 change? Please unmute yourself and answer so that I can continue my task. Please. Yes. So earlier, the earlier P1 allocation was earlier P1 allocation was 200. Okay, earlier P1 allocation was 200. Now what you are going to do? You are going to say that it is 102. So 200 was the current scenario. 200. Now you are raising a request of 102. So this is request for A, request for B, and request for C. 302. That is how you are going to get this 302. Okay, before that, just I'm scrolling down. So before that, we do have the resources. I think we have extended our time. Okay, I will end up my meeting. So I didn't look ahead a watch on this time, what is going on. Okay, we have 99 participants. So I will continue my class tomorrow. So I'm stopping my recording.